Good evening. We begin tonight with urgent news from Turkestan, where a rapidly escalating humanitarian and biological crisis has triggered one of the largest United Nations response efforts in the region in over a decade. Medical personnel from IDUP report a mysterious illness spreading through several villages south of Loimanara. Early symptoms include sudden fever spikes, severe respiratory failure, and what doctors describe as abnormal tissue decay occurring within hours of infection. At least 12 villages, mostly under Taliban control, are affected, making medical access nearly impossible. The UN confirms multiple aid convoys were ambushed earlier this week along the southern corridor, disrupting medical supply routes and forcing the abandonment of several aid posts. In response, the UN has contracted a specialized security force known as the Profiteers to secure biohazard diagnostic equipment, escort convoys, reopen critical supply routes, and reinforce vulnerable checkpoints. A UN spokesperson warns that without immediate protection, IDUP may no longer be able to operate in Turkestan. Turning now to Loimanara, a major assault unfolded during the Profiteers Mission 1 relief convoy, codenamed Operation The Request. At approximately 14:30 local time, Taliban forces breached the southern perimeter of Loimanara airbase in a coordinated attack. Witnesses reported heavy gunfire in the hangar district and explosions near aircraft storage base. UN security personnel suffered significant casualties and communication towers were temporarily offline. The Profiteers were quickly redirected to support the airbase, helping retake critical areas including the ATC tower, maintenance sectors, and munitions facilities. UN analysts now believe this was a deliberate attempt to disrupt investigations into the biological incident. Meanwhile, IDUP spokesperson Dr. Leila Hadar stated that the disease is no longer considered natural, citing strong signs of artificial manipulation. Internal reports suggest foreign-made chemical containers have been recovered, and Taliban forces may be receiving external support. Several samples bear manufacturing codes not linked to Turkestan. IDUP has requested full UN lab support to identify the pathogen's origin. In response, the UN Security Council held an emergency session to discuss expanding operational authority for the Profiteers, deploying additional logistics and medical units, and investigating foreign involvement in the outbreak. Around Loimanara, the UN is considering establishing a quarantine perimeter. The Secretary-General emphasized that if a biological agent is being developed or deployed, the international community must act decisively. Meanwhile, IDUP continues to push forward despite dangers, expanding medical operations northward to support displaced civilians. New field hospitals are being set up with UN transport support, providing water purification, infection control equipment, and mobile biohazard labs. However, IDUP warns that without sustained convoy protection, these efforts may collapse. Intelligence analysts believe the Taliban have been receiving foreign-supplied biological materials, prompting investigations into smuggling and logistics across the region. A senior analyst remarked that the attack on Loimanara was not to gain territory but to buy time, suggesting someone does not want the source uncovered. The Profiteers are expected to continue reconnaissance and interdiction efforts as the UN seeks to uncover the truth behind the outbreak. As Turkestan edges closer to a regional crisis, the world watches closely. If the biological threat is contained, it could reshape global security policies for years to come. This has been Aan World News.